thought child marriage is past, especially in urban areas, then you are mistaken. Child marriage is an urban problem too. Marrying early has been resulting in a plethora of health issues among child brides, ranging from fistula to septic abortions. A panel of medical experts discuss on the alarming issues and solutions to ensure that they do not experience motherhood in childhood. So I shall request the panelists to introduce themselves. We shall start with Dr. Kanaki.
I am Dr. C.V. Kannaki Uttaraj, Director Primary Fertility Services.
I'm Dr. Damodar Rao from Rao Hospital, Coimbatore.
I'm Dr. Chandrakala Mankudapatti, Director, Genesis Royal Infirmary Private Limited, Coimbatore.
I am Dr. Sridevi, Consultant in SV Medical Center, Kinathakadavu, Coimbatore.
Doctor, do you have patients from the rural areas coming to you? What do you think is the driving factor, especially when it comes to, pregnancy, adolescent pregnancy?
Most of the younger girls, I see probably more of rural and urban population as well, because some of them come all the way from Karur, Pollachi, Udmalpet, Palani, and even from Tirupur. Although they all outskirts of Coimbatore, but still almost little bit of rural areas compared to Coimbatore. So I feel almost urban and rural is the same, although 70% of them is from the 70% of the child marriages are from the rural areas. We have, according to the National Commission, the rate has come down to 11% to 18%. Previously it was 26%, now it's almost only 11%. But the urban is comparatively a little bit higher than before. It's increased. Reasons maybe because nowadays there are two types of child marriages which can happen. One's where the parents force them to get married at an early age, and the other one is where they elope away or where they force themselves into a marriage life earlier. Child marriages are such when the parents force, it is out of the social pressure and out of their pressure as well, because they feel, as madam said before, finish off the burden, let the girl child be away from the family, because one is their educational burden, their burden to take care of the child is gone, and especially so when there are 2 or 3 girls in the family. If it's a single girl, they are able to handle it. And the other problem is where they get married to relatives, so that the property of the family doesn't go divided. Yes. That's yet another reason for getting them married at an early age, and before they even think about falling in love with anybody. So this is another way of preventing them to take decisions of their own, so they can finish it off here. And another reason, fourth reason probably, where the family feels there are a lot of society pressure. Okay, you send the girl child for earning, you send the girl child for education. See, she's fallen in love with some other caste, especially in India. Especially we have lot of caste, low caste, high caste, upper society, lower society. So to prevent the society from commenting upon the family, they look at as a status symbol, so that they finish off earlier, so that the girl doesn't have the mind to even think whom to get married. Right. So they finish off early. Okay. So this is one part.
Okay. Doctor, see, the POXO Act is very stringent now. So even if there is a consent, sex with a minor is considered rape. So in that case, I mean, now do they know the act? Do they know that this could be construed a criminal offence?
Well, whether they know, we don't know how many of them really know it. And it's, you see here of all these rapes, they are not bothered about these acts or whatever. They think they can get away with everything. That attitude is probably the worst.
Okay, so now why I'm asking you this is because if the parents are a part of the marriage, I mean, they can also be held responsible, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, so are they aware of it? Why do they go ahead to get the child marriage at say 13, 14 despite this?
See, as Chandrakala pointed out, dispensing of with responsibilities, that is the first thing, and they find it difficult to, if they cannot educate her further, to keep her at home and monitor the girl child, especially if they are working class and they have to leave the child at home and go. It's a big responsibility. So that is mostly the reason why they want to.
Most of the time they think it is safe for the child to get married,
married.
rather than being at
Okay,
home.
if she's kept at home, then she needs to be looked
Monitored.
after by some person, and there's nobody there to look after her.
Right.
That's the reason.
Right. So, Doc, see, I think the law enforcement and government should play a very vital role. Do you think they are playing their role properly, in the sense that we are not even able to get the exact figures in terms of, you know, how many children are getting married before the marriageable age, and what are the kind of issues that they are facing thereafter? So, you know, you have a lot of child protection, you know, you have Department of Women and Child Welfare, you have this Social Welfare Department, you know, which is supposed to take cognizance of cases like this. But do you think they are doing whatever they need to do? And if not, why?
Government and even the society doesn't do much about it, because if there is a marriage, nobody has the guts to go and complain to the government authorities, even though we have appropriate child helplines, though we have a lot of police functioning and the social welfare departments. But even if they receive the complaint, they also do not act very nicely. Like they don't come to the place immediately, they don't do investigations properly, and appropriate punishments are not awarded to them early. So the law has to be more strict, and also it need not be who complains, because they always keep asking who are you. The first question is always who are you. Just like they've made it for the accidents, you don't have to say who you are, you don't have to reveal even your identity. If a complaint is lodged, they have to go and take action. Only then I think this will prevent all this, because people who complain do not want their identity to be known, and that is obvious, because then they'll have all of back effects after all this. So I think the law has to be more stringent, and the punishments have to be more strict, and the action has to be taken quickly, because they take lot of time to finish it, and by the time the child is already pregnant.
Okay, doctor. So, you are getting cases that, according to the law, even, you know, the guests who attend the marriage need to be penalized. But do you see that happening?
We don't see, because they are in the family circle, and invariably it's not a big event advertised, or, you know, send invitations are very limited. Therefore, it becomes a family event. However, it cannot just escape the notice of the surrounding neighbors or whoever. There are a lot of social agencies even in a village. Things will be known, and when somebody knows, they have to report, and the authorities have to take action. If they set a precedent by taking stringent action, then definitely the number of marriages, because there will be so much of stigma attached to this, definitely people will think twice about getting the child married before 18.
Okay. My question is to Dr. Damodar. Now let us come to the most important aspect of this topic, which is health of these girl brides. So what are the issues that you are seeing? And you are saying that you are also seeing cases where you have adolescent pregnancy of, you know, girls who are not married, out of wedlock. So what is the percentage, and what are the main issues that you are seeing?
See, when you say even within wedlock, and if the girls are young, say 13, 14, 15, then now one is mentally they have to be ready to go through the whole thing, and adolescence itself is a phase where even without pregnancy you're going through a lot, and added to that you're going through the pregnancy being an adolescent, so that's like a double whammy for you, you're going through a lot. And physically again, most of them have not even attained their proper growth as such.
Okay.
And they'll have anemia, most of them will be malnourished during pregnancy, and as a result of that the babies are also, they're born with growth restriction. Many of them, India is supposed to be the country with the largest number of stunted people.
Okay.
This is because of these kind of pregnancies.
Okay.
So we're supposed to be among the top 10 in the world for that. So
That's
if the mother is not alright, you can imagine what will happen to the baby, and what kind of a family you're bringing up. And this is supposed to be the future of India.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it is out of wedlock, of course you have your problems where they may not even come to you. They may not even come to the doctor. The families get to know about it, or somebody gets to know about it only when the bump is seen, when it's really late. It's about the 5th month or so. and by law you cannot do an abortion after the 5th month, after the 20th week.
Right.
So then they might go to a quack, and this quack might do an illegal abortion. They use various kind of things like use a stick or rods and things like that, and then people come with all sorts of problems, infections, fistulas, intestines out of the vagina and things like that. So it's really bad, pathetic.
Okay.
So it's a very sad scenario.
Okay. Dr. Sridevi, are you seeing such cases where, the girls go to quacks and then come back to you? How severe are those situations?
No, I haven't seen patients coming back to me after having gone to a quack, but I've heard a couple of cases who had gone to a quack for abortions and they have lost their lives also.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the cases.
What stage do they go?
Usually they go in the later stages of their pregnancy, because in the initial stages they usually prefer coming to a doctor. But in some cases where a girl gets pregnant out of wedlock, she might not want to reveal it outside. So she might not even reveal it to her family members for a very long period of time. And by the time the legal age for abortion is already over, because we can only abort until 20 weeks of gestation, and that too after 12 weeks of gestation there should be 2 gynecologists who should give consent for the abortion to be done.
Okay.
So because of all these issues, most of the girls who want to get aborted later in their later period of pregnancy, they don't turn up to the doctors. They usually go to the quacks, and they have a lot of serious illness which follows because of that.
Okay. Doctor, you were also speaking about using sticks of a particular type of plant. Could you explain what they exactly do? What do the quacks do?
Basically, they stick because we have seen a lot of abortions. Friends, we are from. I've done my post graduation from a very rural area, Tanjavur. So we used to have a ward called septic ward, where we used to have only septic abortions.
Right.
And you'll have at least minimum of 6 cases per day of septic abortion. We used to have grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, where the worst case which I have seen, which I cannot forget for my life, is where they have put in a stick and they have kept on scraping, and the whole of uterine wall was scraped in the front, and the whole of the bladder wall was scraped. So there was obviously the bladder wall, from the bladder wall the urine was leaking continuously, and posteriorly they scraped so much that the rectum was also scraped. So the rectum, bladder and the uterine wall, we couldn't even establish any anatomy when we opened up the abdomen, because she was pouring pus with blood from the vagina, and they had brought her in a very critical stage. They thought, okay, as usual septic abortion. So that's a usual scenario that we see. Okay, put in a speculum, you see a pus discharge, okay, septic abortion. But then the patient was too moribund to label her just as septic abortion. So we did an emergency laparotomy. We found sticks, needles, all sort of seeds inside, whatever it is. So that's the worst case. But we see a lot of, they put in a stick. They wait for things to expel. See, any foreign body inside, uterus tries to expel, and they start doing scraping with those sort of sticks. Sometimes, as she said, even 9 rods.
Out of 20 million unsafe abortions which happen all over the world, this teenage pregnancies contribute around 14 to 20% of these unsafe abortions.
So 1 in 5
Yeah,
is
1 in 5 is because
teenage.
of an adolescent girl who has to undergo all these things. And they don't even know that they are pregnant. By the time they know they are pregnant, already it has crossed some 4 or 5 months.
So
even
these
I
people
had a patient who came to me at 36 weeks with pregnancy.
What age?
And she was only I think 17.
Okay.
She came to me. She was brought to me by her mother at the age of 36 weeks of gestation for a termination.
For 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months of pregnancy for a termination. So I told that it cannot be terminated. She has to deliver. So finally, I think she delivered in a government hospital, and she had given the baby for adoption.
Okay.
These girls, they'll end up having fistulas. There is a communication between the bowel and the vagina. There's a communication between the bladder and the vagina and the uterus. And also these girls have septic abortions. They have tubal blocks. These are the girls who have fertility problems in the future, later.
Now, we also see patients with infertility who come to us later in their life, like they would have had a septic abortion
At a very young age.
prior to their wedding,
Oh,
and then
okay.
they'll come to us with infertility issues, and then sometimes we'll see them revealing to us that they had an abortion at 20 weeks of gestation by a quack or somebody. It was some 5 years, 6 years back, and that will not be revealed to the husband.
Okay.
Now they will come with secondary infertility. We have done scans to see that the uterus will be showing some calcifications and all sorts of problems
Blocks.
inside the uterus and
Okay.
block.
So, doctor, how aware are they about the usage of contraceptives, and do you see a lot of STDs and HIV among these, young brides, young
Well,
population?
they are not even aware of pregnancy, how they become pregnant. So they are definitely, their knowledge of STDs or sexually transmitted diseases is definitely going to be much, much lesser than, say, a woman who's 21 years old where she's exposed to it. And it's a taboo to read stuff for the young kids,
Right.
So actually, rightfully, we should make them aware of contraceptive practices for whatever reason. If they have sex before 18 or before thing, they should be aware, for either through marriage, outside marriage, whatever. Let them be aware. They are not aware. And not only pregnancy is the first problem, the second problem, as you said, is the sexually transmitted diseases, and now the world rampant with HIV. It is very difficult even for them to know that they have the disease. Probably when it attacks them, when they have the symptoms of immune resistance, lack of resistance, only then HIV testing, then they are brought. So this is probably the more urgent thing that has to be attended than looking after their pregnancies, because these are, especially if you think, we are thinking of socially in normal families, there are a lot of smaller younger girls who are born to children in the red light, children of the sex
workers.
workers. Now they are exposed to everything much, much earlier, and these children are probably exposed to prostitution in a very young age, and these are the people who will be really drastically affected by the sexually transmitted diseases. At least they should be aware of the protection.
The issues are plenty, and solutions. What exactly do we need to do to ensure that there are no child marriages? How do we contain this menace? Now, let us ask for solutions from the panelists themselves. Let's start from Dr. Damodar.
I think one of the most important things would be educating the girl child. I think you should probably make it compulsory to educate her till the 12th grade, because if she does not go, if she's not given this opportunity, then sex education for the girl child may not happen at all. And if sex education, so in sex education, you should talk to them in detail about your physiology, the reproductive system, how you become pregnant, how are diseases, sexually transmitted diseases transmitted, what will happen to your body if you become pregnant at a young age, what will happen to you if you acquire a sexually transmitted disease, and of course how to prevent a pregnancy, what kind of contraception methods are available, and how they should be used. And if at all, if they become pregnant, they should be told that not to worry, whom to access, whom to talk to, and things like that. Take away the fear of pregnancy also from the child. I think education and sex education is one of the most important things, I feel.
Yes, Dr. Kanadi.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stigma and there's a lot of mind thoughts, emotions that are involved in this child marriage and early pregnancy. It is very important because the mother herself may not be willing to reveal or go to, say the child undergoes a rape and there's a pregnancy, the mother may not be willing to go to the police for
Obvious
whatever
reasons.
reason, obvious reasons. So there should be somebody else other than an authority to deal with this, and maybe the doctor who encounters this should liaise with the social worker. I'm sure there are a lot of social workers, a lot of child psychologists, a lot of counselors who can help in this area, counsel the family, counsel the young child. She needs to be counseled first, and then the mother, and then there can be a dialogue between the doctor, the social worker, and the family, and to settle it more amicably. But more so, the social workers should take upon, the government should put in social workers spreading the knowledge of the harms of a teenage pregnancy, the harms of abortion, and harms of sexually transmitted disease. It is also the duty of the government to spread these messages. It's being done, but it should be done in a more palatable way.
Yeah. Dr. Sridevi?
Yeah, I think this child marriages end up in teenage pregnancy. So teenage pregnancy has got lot of problems, not only psychological but also physical problems. So they should be given awareness right from the school. There should be some community programs also. And the girls should be allowed to role play what they have to reveal to the other girls. They should be made to get involved by themselves. So it should start at the school level itself with the school headmistress leading the program. And the program should be conducted at regular intervals. And even the parents usually they don't speak to the children regarding this reproductive health education. So I think the parents also should start talking to the teenagers about sexual relationships. And when the child comes and when they come to reveal something to the parents should be in a position to counsel the child. They usually they don't pay any attention to the child, and that is why the child ends up with
they feel
pregnancy.
inhibited,
Inhibited, and then they go to somebody else, and even sometimes they might end up with a quack even without the parents' knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think the parents should be more receptible when a child comes and tells him something. Rather than giving them advice at that point in time, they should give emotional support to the child.
Okay.
That is how I think we can prevent future.
Okay. Dr. Chandrakala?
I think, see, the adolescent age group is where we have a lot of hormones peaking up and surging up. Like, channelize this energy into something positive rather than through the other way. Don't try to put a block. You cannot build a dam across. Because obviously the dam is going to be broken at some point. Channelize into a better way, make them give them more education. Like we used to start with moral science class and end with the physical education class. I think we should go back to the old system where instead of moral science classes we can have life skills as well along with the moral science, so that morally they are educated, and also the child is given how to face problems, because most of the children are so vulnerable. Most of them are single children. They are not given the opportunity to we teach them physics, chemistry and biology. We don't teach them life skills.
Right.
So teach them life skills so that, and also make them goal oriented so that they don't get deviated and distracted and go into other problems. So when these girls are goal oriented, they can tell their parents, no, I want to be this, so I want to pursue my education. So there becomes a full stop. If these girls don't get deviated and they get distracted and go the wrong way, then the parents feel, okay, it's better to get the child married, get rid of her, that's it.
Right.
So channelize this energy into positive. Use this energy into physical educations, like more of physical play. Rather than programmed play like tennis or shuttle, rather than that, give them random plays like how we used to play. There is no 1 hour, you have to start at this point, you have to this point. It is again programmed. Don't do that.
Okay.
Again, it's a stress. You have to win this game, you have to lose this game. No, they have to be playing everywhere. They have to lose every day. They have to face failures every day. Only if they learn failures, they'll come out of all the stress, because some of the adolescents, some of the schools in certain areas which I do not want to name, where they are forced to read throughout the day and night to get this many marks to enter schools. These children are using sex as a stress reliever. Okay. So really speaking, it's not right for me to reveal that, because it will affect the schools and also but these children use sex as a stress buster, and they have come out and told us, my friends, my seniors have done this because they feel after the sex you get relieved and you are able to concentrate better on the exams. I felt that this is not right. So I think the parents should also not force them their decisions into the children, and the children should be given the opportunity to pursue their own goal. They should be given a goal to set the goal for the children, make them understand life skills. It's okay to accept failures. It is not that you have to pass always. It's not that you have to give 100% always. So I think lot of education should be made compulsory.
Okay.
Not education as such. It's basically life skills.
Okay, so these are the possible solutions that the stakeholders can really look into. I thank the panelists so much for talking to us today. Thank you so much, doctors. Thank you.
Thank you.